It's time to fact check the fact checkers since they're not good at their job and facts really matter. So a New York Times reporter covering tech and disinformation, Davey Alba, recently tweeted, "I contacted YouTube about this video, which is being shared by tons of replies on Twitter and on Facebook, by people asserting that it backs up Trump's idea, throwing it out there that UV rays kill coronavirus. YouTube just said it removed it for violating its community guidelines." So I guess Davey Alba is a professional snitch who's bragging about getting this video deleted. Now what is this video? It's AYTU Heel Light, peer-reviewed data to be published on this soon. Thank you for our partners at Cedar Sinai. I just found out that they got banned from Twitter as well. This is insane. They're a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ, and their video was just explaining that their technology was taking the harmful parts out of light, leaving in the kind that won't harm you to destroy viruses. But I can't even play that clip because they might censor me. How did these tyrannical people sleep at night? If you look at AP News from a few days ago, Bioscience signs exclusive global license with Cedar Sinai for potential coronavirus treatment. Cedar Sinai developed Heel Light medical device platform technology being studied as a potential first-in-class COVID-19 treatment. So Davey Alba, who snitched on them and got their video deleted off of YouTube, does she have a medical degree? Is she a Nobel Prize winning scholar, some sort of wizard? Does she know more than Cedar Sinai, who bought this technology? Of course not, but that's what our media is and that's what our fact checkers are now. YouTube should be ashamed of themselves. They're Orwellian, tyrannical, at this point psychopaths, who work with media goons to take away a potential treatment that Cedar Sinai is literally working on.
If I had a cure for disease and damage, you would probably try to ban it. I ain't trying to join your cult, it's not organic. Not my clock, we come from very different fabric.
The smear campaigns just won't seem to stop. And to set the record straight, what Trump was talking about was actually a study by the Department of Homeland Security Science and Technology Lab in partnership with Johns Hopkins, who found out that sunlight does indeed destroy the virus quicker than being indoors. It's literally a fact that that's what their studies found.
We worked with Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Lab, and we actually developed a larger drum to do actually more testing, and it's 4 times the size of that. So in summary, within the conditions we've tested to date, the virus in droplets of saliva survives best in indoors and dry conditions. The virus does not survive as well in droplets of saliva, and that's important because a lot of testing being done is not necessarily being done, number one, with the COVID-19 virus, and number two, in saliva or respiratory fluids. And thirdly, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight under these conditions. And when you look at that chart.
And when it comes to UV light on the inside, of course don't do it by yourself, but there are medical professionals, not just Cedar Sinai and Heel Light, who now apparently have had their video removed by New York Times reporters, but it's been in the news that they've done that already.
It's a body with a tremendous, whether it's ultraviolet or just very powerful light.
This is the ability of UV light to treat flu symptoms. The UV light device she uses is from a Santa Barbara business called UV-LRX.
And then I said, supposing you brought the light inside the body, which you can do either through the skin or in some other way.
So can you show us a little bit about how it works with your demonstration here?
So this would be the patient arm,
Okay.
and the procedure lasts for about an hour, and it's really simple. It's just like getting a regular IV, like if you were going to rehydrate.
And I think you said you're going to test that too. Sounds interesting.
So the technology has been around for over 100 years. UV light treating flus and viruses and bacteria, it won a Nobel Peace Prize 100 years.
Yet CNN is reporting bleach and sunlight might kill the virus on a park bench, but they can be harmful to the body. So now bleach and sunlight are in the same category of being harmful to the body? I mean, even Healthline.com admits the sun is your best source of vitamin D. When your skin is exposed to sunlight, it makes vitamin D from cholesterol. Yeah, too much sun will burn you and probably kill you. Not enough sun isn't healthy. Depending on your ethnicity probably too and your skin tone. But the media collusion to smear anybody talking about sunlight in any sort of way is absolutely insane. It's not just CNN, it's not just New York Times and Google deleting videos that are literally scientific, but now it's USA Today. They're brilliant fact checkers. Fact check, sunlight does not kill the new coronavirus, from Molly Stellino, who also fact checked my video incorrectly. We'll talk about that in a little bit. In the article it says, director of the CDC's National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases said in an NPR interview February that it's unclear how coronavirus will react to heat or sunlight. Our ruling falls false. This is false. There is no evidence proving sunlight kills the coronavirus. Only highly concentrated UV rays are reported to kill viruses. And the World Health Organization advises against using UV rays because they can damage skin. This is just mind-bogglingly ridiculous. First of all, this article's totally out of date now because there is a study from Department of Homeland Security in Saliva, their Science and Technology Department, with the help of Johns Hopkins, did come to the conclusion that the virus doesn't last as long in sunlight, so that's what we're all talking about.
And thirdly, the virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight. The virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight. The virus dies the quickest in the presence of direct sunlight.
And this idea that the World Health Organization advises against using UV rays? What are you even talking about? Yeah, too much UV rays will damage your skin, but not enough will actually leave you vitamin deficient. It's like a smear campaign against the sun, which is not surprising because you're going to find out, like in my last video, Harvard and Bill Gates are literally trying to block out the sun. It's like sunlight bad, darkness good. Seems a little bit demonic if you ask me. And on that note, that same fact checker who's fact checking sunlight now also somehow works with Facebook to smear my video as misinformation when it's not, and comes to the conclusion that it's false that this could be a man-manipulated virus, and her totally out of date and sloppily done fact check article quotes Richard Ebright to come to that conclusion, but Richard Ebright actually agrees with me and thinks there's a possibility that it is a man-manipulated virus. So it's sloppily done. They are fake news. They need to be fact-checked as well. And the smearing against sunlight is probably their bizarrest move yet. It looks like that specific article changed from false to partly false. I guess they updated it, probably because I had a viral video showing that it was a totally out-of-date and goofy article that wasn't even remotely close to the facts. Yet they still left in Richard Ebright, who actually agrees with me, to come to their conclusion. It's partly false. Not just say you don't know what you're talking about. It's a lot easier than falsely fact-checking everybody and having to change your articles every month. Oh my goodness. Yeah, too much sunlight is bad. That's obvious. But this idea that Trump told people to inject or drink bleach and Lysol is not even remotely true. Of course, never, ever, ever, ever do that, obviously. But he never said that. The word used was disinfectant on a list from the DHS Science and Technology guy who was talking at the time about sunlight. So before we end, let's fact check one more person. The Surgeon General.
The doctor. Let's ask the doctor.
Well, again, as many people are being harmed by misinformation as they're being harmed by the virus itself.
He said as many people are being harmed by misinformation as they're being harmed by the virus. I agree with him, which is why it's totally inexcusable that he still has misinformation and fake news posted on his Twitter account. From March 30th, he has World Health Organization stands by recommendation to not wear masks if you're not sick or not caring for someone who is sick. CNN. Still on his Twitter, complete misinformation, completely against the guidelines that they're now putting out for the country and even the law that they're now enforcing that you have to wear a mask. It's misinformation. It's on his Twitter. He hasn't removed it. It's ridiculous. And the people will say, oh, it's March 30th. He changed his mind. His pinned tweet is from March 29th. So the date doesn't really matter. Somebody at his office needs to delete this information because he's not just some random schmuck on YouTube. He's literally the Surgeon General of America. And what's more profoundly disgusting is that when he was confronted about changing the rule from telling people to not wear masks to saying that everybody should wear masks, his totally dishonest answer was they just figured out that asymptomatic people could spread the virus.
Public health and health organizations and professionals originally recommended against the general public wearing masks because based on the best evidence available at the time, it was not deemed that that would have a significant impact on whether or not a healthy person wearing a mask would contract COVID-19. We have always recommended that symptomatic people wear a mask because if you're coughing, if you have a fever, if you're symptomatic, you could transmit disease to other people. What has changed in our recommendation? Well, it's important to know that we now know from recent studies that a significant portion of individuals with coronavirus lack symptoms. They're what we call asymptomatic. And that even those who eventually become pre-symptomatic, meaning that they will develop symptoms in the future, can transmit the virus to others before they show symptoms. This means that the virus can spread between people interacting in close proximity. For example, coughing, speaking, or sneezing, even if those people were not exhibiting symptoms. In light of this new evidence, CDC recommends and the task force recommends wearing cloth face coverings in public settings where other social distancing measures are difficult to maintain.
Nobody thinks that was new information, not to any expert, not to any agency. They've been telling us for, at the time that he said that, at least weeks, possibly a month, that asymptomatic people could spread the virus. In fact, that was one of the many reasons given to us for the shutdown in the first place. So who's going to fact check the fact checkers? Who's going to fact check the health experts who say misinformation is hurting more people than the virus when they themselves have misinformation on their own accounts? Who's going to fact check the snitches at New York Times who try to get a medical professional who's working with Cedar Siani kicked off Twitter because they're mad it goes against their hatred for Trump? YouTube's complicit. At this point, Facebook's complicit. USA Today, the Surgeon General, New York Times. What the heck are you guys doing? And if you want to talk about misinformation that has caused more damage than the virus itself, let's talk about all the data, all the models, the mortality rate, the World Health Organization's advice in January, February, and March, and probably April to be honest. This shutdown that's led to tens of millions of lives, the horrible hospital strategy, doing a one-size-fits-all approach that has led to hospitals going bankrupt and nurses getting kicked out of work because elective surgeries have been canceled. Yeah, the cure is officially worse than the virus. I think the Surgeon General's right, but it's not just crazy misinformation that goes against his agenda. It's his own misinformation that's still posted on his Twitter, and it's the misinformation coming from the trusted sources and agencies that are supposed to police our lives now in every which way, police our social media, despite the fact that time and time again they do sloppy work, they do dishonest work, and they try to smear, silence, and delete anybody that's smarter, more interesting, even medical professionals who are working with some of the biggest hospitals in the country to cure coronavirus patients. This is beyond truth. This is beyond fact checkers. This is tyranny. This is hypocrisy. At this point, I would even say it's evil, and it's time to step up or step off, because these people are not only not qualified to delete other people's videos and tell other people what to think, their own incompetency is a result of having zero self-accountability and zero self-awareness, trying to police the rest of the world when they can't even police themselves to the extent to not put out misinformation in their own articles and on their own social media accounts. So I'm about ready for freedom, and if any of these people involved, or any fact checkers, or any virologists, or any science experts have a problem with it, reach out to me. Let's have a debate and a conversation, and I would love to share your side of the story to my audience, because I'm tired of the lies, I'm tired of the deception, and so is most of the country and most of the world. Have a beautiful day. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. I'll be back with more videos very soon.
Like a diamond in the sky, you know. Look at the lobby, I get the party jumping, lovers are falling, something, someone lit with a 40 grip, rocking, and we gon' roll from the floor to the top. No, stop until it's sunny, pass the Dasani bottle, fill it with the cardio, fill 'em with the cardio, up like a baldy go.